Imagine opening your inbox and there's a comic book. Not just any comic book, a custom one featuring your business, your logo, your website, and someone in the bottom saying something hilarious like online coffee, I like it. You have to respond, right? In this video, I'm going to show you how to automate that entire experience so you can send these scroll stopping lead closing lead magnets to the right business. And when they get these lead magnets, they will go, did they really make this for me? And that is when you can close a business in under 2 minutes. But here's the twist. This isn't just another Canva template or a generic outreach strategy. We're using AI to read a website, extract what makes it unique, and generate a fully personalized image and email. And therefore, when it lands in the inbox, it feels like a gift. In this video, I'll show you exactly how it works, step by step, from the first URL drop to the final send. So if you want to send lead generation that doesn't feel like spam, this is the most fun and effective method that you will ever come across. I'll even show you what to do when you run into websites that can't really be read. So we'll have a separate plan B just for that. Anyway, with that said, let's get right into it. So over here in NA10, you can see that I have a new workflow right here. And what I'm going to do in this video is have a look at the two websites of two of my favorite coffee shops here in Malta. So there's Little Coffee Circus right here, which is one of my favorite spots. And there's also my other favorite spot, which is this Little Chief right here. And you will see why I picked these two sites in a second. So let's just take this coffeecircus.eu/Malta. So in this here, over here in NA10, I have a new workflow. Just have a click, like a run manual trigger. And what I want to do is essentially, I also want to involve an Airtable in this build. So in this Airtable, I want to have something along the lines of the URL, which will be the URL of the place I want to create the comic strip lead magnet for. I also want to have the attachment, which will be eventually the image that I will create. So let's call this the comic strip. I also want to have the long text, which will be the prompt that we will run into ChatGPT in a second. And then I'll just have the created time. And let's just have a status field, which will be a single select. So either created, we could have sent. We could also have ideas if we wanted to. So it goes from idea to created to sent. And also we could have that once we have, I mean, if we wanted to, we could say that we could have a status which is to create. And then once that changes to that status, this could go ahead and run the automation. But let's just keep it simple. So let's have these, and let's by default say that ideas should be the default thing, the default status when a new record is added. So over here, all I'm going to do is go back here, go back to the website I want to build this for, and I'm just going to drop that right there. What this will do in NA10 is going to add an Airtable, which will get or search for all records. And in my table or my database, which is called comic lead magnet, I'm going to choose my table here. And what is important here is that the status, or the, let's call the status, will be equal to ideas, because I don't want to get more information, or I don't want to get rows that are not under, that do not have the ideas as the status. So over here, I just need to say that status is equal to ideas. And this should pull only that one record right now. I mean, at the stage, there's only one record, but even if I add more stuff and eventually change their status to created or sent, at this moment, this will still, or this should still just pull one item, simply because there's only one record listed under ideas. So there's that. So we got the information right here. So now we can proceed with the first item. So here what we're going to do is get the code of the website. So we're going to do an HTTP request in order to get, as you can see, the website right here. I'm just going to hit that step, and this should download all the code of the site. As you can see, there's a lot of code though. So what we want is to clean that up. And in order to get that done, let's just go to ChatGPT and say, I want you to write me code, JavaScript code that in N8N can take all the code from a website and its HTML and just clean it so only the text remains. And this created the code right here. So what I'm gonna do is copy this. Let's go back to N8N. Let's add a code node and let's test this out. Now what is important here is that the data comes from this data field right here. So potentially this JSON.body might or might not work. Let's see. Yeah, so here we got an error. So this should potentially be JSON.items.json.data, I think. Yep. So here we got the cleaned text. What I don't like is that there's a bunch of \n. So over here, we can also update the code so it can remove that as well. So let's take a screenshot of that. Copy this. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and I say almost 100% working. I still get a bunch of \n, as you can see in the screenshot. Also, the data comes from, what did we say? The data variable. So let me just copy this as well. Comes from the data variable in the previous node. And I'm just going to paste, yeah, that sort of code right there. So let's just take another screenshot here and just paste that in there. So this should update the code. So hopefully it's a bit cleaner as well. Okay, updated version, sweet. Okay, copy, N8N, paste, test step, and now great, we get the only just the cleaned text, which is great. So now what we can do is actually get a screenshot of the website. So what I want to do is to automatically go to the site and grab a screenshot of what we see right here. And to do that, I'm going to use this screenshot one. So over here, as you can see, I'm logged in. I have my different outputs that I could generate, screenshots, current screenshots, videos, PDFs as well. What I'm interested in is this screenshots right here. So I have the URL that I'll update in N8N. And I have some potential other options as well. I have the full page if I wanted to. I can get it to scroll, the max height, the viewport, the image options. Let's go with 100 there in JPEG. And a bunch of other information. I could also use OpenAI if I paste my OpenAI key here in order to ask anything I want about the screenshot. So this could also be helpful if you wanted to. In my case, I'm going to do that in N8N, but this could also be something that you do. So over here, I get the curl, so I copy this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to add an HTTP request. I'm going to import the curl, hit enter, and this is good to go. Just need to update my access key right here. I believe, okay, no, might already be integrated right there. And all I need to update is the website. Where are we? Take, So over here, I don't see the website information for some reason. So here we have Stripe. Let's see. So this, for some reason, does not have the curl request. That does not have the page included. That's very weird though. Okay, so let's just copy this. Let's go to ChatGPT and let's say, let's turn this into a curl request I can import in N8N. Paste that in. And this will make life easier in N8N. So go back here, again, go to import curl, paste that, and now I see a bunch of additional options. For example, this URL right here. So what I want to do is just go to my Airtable. I'm going to drag and drop that URL right here. And if I just test this, in a second, I should get a full page screenshot of that site. Let's see. Okay, let's view this. And we get the full screenshot right here, which is beautiful. Great. So now what I'm going to do is ask ChatGPT to analyze this information. And essentially I want it to define what it sees on the site. Specifically, I'm interested in stuff like the color codes of the website and which colors are used. I'm curious in the message as well. There's all the things that I want to include in order to then create the right comic strip for this website. So over here, I'm going to go to OpenAI. I'm going to message a model. Let's go with 4.1. And I will have this prompt. Analyze the screenshot of my client's homepage and provide two outputs: the color palette and the concise description of what the website looks like in 20 words or less. Let's provide the website. So here I'm going to say the website. Actually, what I want here is, rather than message a model, this will come next. So let's just add another note here, because what I want is from OpenAI is to analyze an image. So here, let's just choose the model again. Let's choose 4.0. I'm going to paste in my prompt right here. And over here, I'm going to add the input type, which is a binary file. So here I should be able to give this data, which matches the name right there. So now if I hit test step, let's see what we get right here. So I analyze the image, and then I'm going to get some more information based on the contents of the site. So this said the color palette should be warm, beige, dominant, rich brown, secondary with burnt orange as an accent. Website description: the website features a warm, rustic coffee theme with beige, brown, orange tones and community-focused imagery. Great. So now, in this OpenAI second module, what I'm going to say is the following. So you will review the below data and complete this sentence. Respond with the sentence and no additional data. Insert text. I like it. Your text must be no more than 3 words. It must summarize the core of what the business website offers. Here are some examples: car payments, hair automation, cheap phones. So in our case, it would be something related to coffee. It should be simple and not overly complicated where possible. Keep it to a reading age of 12 years old. If the creator of the website were to read it, they should think, wow, they checked out our site. Here's the data. And here what I'm going to do is just insert the clean data from my request. So now, if I hit test step, let's see what we get right here. It's finished already. And here it says fresh coffee community. I like it. So that is we're almost done essentially from this automation. The final thing we need to do is just save this into Airtable. So here I'm just going to save the prompt, which will be as follows. So Airtable, I'm going to update a record. We can choose the same base as before, which in our case was called comic lead magnet. Table 1. Let's map each column manually. Let's use the record ID, or the ID in this case, I guess, or even the URL, but yeah, let's use the URL in our case. Let's go back to Airtable, use that URL. And here we need to map the comic strip, or I mean, this will be done later. So we just need to map the prompt right here, and we can choose this to be created. Over here, thinking about it, we could have prompt created and then image created. So those could be two different steps as well. Over here, for the prompt, I'm going to add the following. So here, this will be a 4-panel comic strip in a vibrant cartoon style, reminiscent of classic animated sitcom. So this obviously can be anything, and you can update it based on this specific style that you want. You should define the visual style, notes, etc. Over here, in terms of accent colors and props reflecting the brand, we're just going to include the website analysis. So here, we just need to map this. Let's switch to expression here. So we'll be able to map this correctly. The brand colors and description of the home page to include are, and here we go to that right there. We're also going to say the business website needs to be clearly visible. He looks intrigued. And for the speech bubble, we're just going to use the JSON message content from the previous module, which in our case is Fresh Coffee Community. I like it. Then we have we need more customers. There's the insight, and then there is the kind of call to action in the last part. So that is what this will create. So let's hit test step. And if this works well, this should add the prompt right there. Okay, so here we've got some type of issue. Valid input, okay. Let's see. If we look at the comic strip, oh, I think this should be in the prompt right here. So let's switch to expression, paste that in, hit test step, and let's remove that so it doesn't bug out. And now this worked. So over here, we should get that updated. Great. So now the final thing we need to do, even thinking about it here, it might make sense to add the attachment that we created. So here I'm just going to insert another field, which is an attachment, which is website screenshot. And what I want to do is just add, first of all, I'm going to actually, let's say this is prompt created, and let's add another option here, which is image created. So we can save that. So let's refresh this. Here I want to save the website screenshot, and here I just want to change to prompt created. Now for the website screenshot, since this is an attachment, we need to do one thing. Essentially, we need to upload this. We can't upload this into our table as a binary file. So we need to find a way to upload this as a URL. So essentially, we want to save the website screenshot that we got from screenshot 1 right here. We need to upload it somewhere before we can get it into our table, because our table only takes in a URL. So what we could do is just upload that to Google Drive. So let's do Google Drive. Let's upload a file. And here I just want to upload the data, which is, let's see. OpenAI request. Where are we? HTTP request before the OpenAI node. Weird. Okay, this is not displaying here. So let's just try this data right here, which should be able to understand what we're after. And yeah, this is not displaying because by default, this isn't displaying the binary here. Let's just try and save this as a test.jpg. And let's see if this actually works. Okay, so potentially this needs to be immediately after this right here. Let's try that. And over here, let's also do that. So this, no, what I want is that, okay. So this should do that and then do that. So it would upload to Google Drive. And let's see, I think I'm complicating life a bit too much, but let's just do that. Let's add a merge here. All this because I want to save the thumbnail to my Airtable. So what I'm thinking is that I'll be able to upload to Google Drive, which is one part. Then I'll be able to do the same thing and analyze the image, go to OpenAI, and then pass everything else, everything I need to my Airtable. The final thing I need to do here is add a Google Drive share link, essentially, because if not, Airtable will not be able to access my Google Drive URL. So here, let's just try this once. Okay, so this uploaded correctly. So if I go to my web view link, I should be able to see that thumbnail. Great. And now I can change the permissions here. The file, let's map this ID right here. The permissions, I'm going to go with, I think, writer and anyone should be what I'm after. So let's test this. And now if I grab that same web view link and I go to incognito, I should be able to still see this. Great, which is what I want. Which also means that if I get to the stage right here, to this merge node, I should be able to get all this information into this node right here, and then we'll be able to map that correctly into Airtable. Okay, sweet. So that's still working. That I think is still working right here. No, here we have an issue. So here, now we need to update this right here. So here we need to have the accent colors and the props. So that's the, first of all, let's go to Airtable, to the merge, and let's just combine stuff together and test that step. Okay, so here I have an issue. Let's do all possible combinations. Okay. And as far as output goes here, I'm having to think about this. So for some reason, this is only inserting one. It seems to be only inserting one thing, which is the Google Drive stuff. No. Okay, so we got the... Okay, yeah, I think I know what I need to do. So let's add another setter here. So this will be the Google Drive URL. And let's just pass the web view link right here. And then let's also duplicate this. So we'll be able to insert these two values into our merge node. So here we want to insert the output from the analyze node. So this will be the color palette. And we also want to have the first line. Let's call that first line, which will be this content right here. So now if we run this merge node once more, yep, great. We get those three pieces of information, which also means that if we go to our table here and want to update this, the accent stuff will be the stuff from the analyze node. The speech bubble will be this right here, which is the first line. And let's just put that in quotes. And finally, in our table, we have the website screenshot. Since this is an attachment, we need to include it as an array right here. And we need to pass we need to pass this parameter URL and then the Google Drive URL right here. And now I believe if I hit that step, that should all work fine. Okay, no errors. Let's say here. So did we get the website screenshot? Nope, we didn't. So that we need to update. And here, color palette, text, fresh coffee. Okay, so that's working well. And as for the color palette, I think that is, what was that it? The color palette should be airtip brown dominant. Under accent colors is what I need to find. Accent colors, color palette. Yeah, so that is. Let's have a look here. Before the keep the website is, yeah, so that I believe is working well. The only problem is that screenshot. So for some reason, this didn't insert the right thing right here. So let's see. We have an array, we have a URL. Is this the right URL? Let's copy this. And let's see if this is what we're after. So that looks good. And incognito, that looks good. URL. Weird. Let's test this once more. Yep. So for some reason I have a problem here. Let me just figure out what this is. Okay, so apparently the issue is that Google Drive doesn't let you download that directly, right? So over here, Google download link generator. So here what I want is to figure out the structure that I need in order to get that output link. So if I just paste in this right here, technically this should just download the image if this works correctly, right? So what I want is just to create that specific format to use and to pass that into Airtable so that Airtable can then download that link. So here, let's just set that correctly. So over here in the edit fields, yeah, let's just grab that and set this correctly in the first place. So the output will be that minus the ID, or the ID will then come from the Google Drive. So this will be mapped based on that. In my case, if I wanted to just test this, what I can do is just paste that in, which I believe it was this link. So this should just download, right? And if I just want to test it now, I should be able to insert this right here. So then if I just do that, let's see if this will actually work. Set this step. And let's see if this actually updates in Airtable. And yep, that updated correctly. So that is the thing that I was not doing correctly. So now over here, I just need to map it back to the information that I would get from the Google Drive URL right there. So now this should work from start to finish. And that's pretty much it. So over here, we have the full complete flow. So I'll just test this from start to finish. And actually, thinking about it, I just want to copy this right here. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm just going to paste that in there. And what I want is to see whether this gives me the comic strip that I'm after for the website right here, or matching the tone, the colors, the feel of that website right there. So that will be the litmus test of whether this was a success or not. So I'll give this a few seconds and then I'll get back to this. So as you can see, this is generating the images. It is giving me two potential outputs here. And this is the first one, fresh coffee community, but we need more customers. AI automation could help. And then there's me with my little sticky note. Fresh coffee community, sad guy, we need more customers. Want me to show you how? So I like that. I like that. What we could also do is just grab the logo of the company, which is there a logo here? Yep, that's the logo there, but I don't quite see it. Okay, let's just say that, let's update this. So let's say that this is the logo. So please update that. Please update the comic strip with the logo. And that will do its thing right there. Now, whilst this is generating, let me just show you if I wanted to run this website and the error that I could potentially run into. So over here, if I just try this with another site, so I'll just insert that right there. And let's just run this once more. So hit test workflow. As you can see here, I ran into an error. Problem node HTTP request forbidden. And if I look here, I get a bunch of code that doesn't make any sense. The problem is that if I go here and I refresh that site, you'll see that first I get this loading screen, and then there's that animation, and then there's the actual website, which means that if I try to do a normal HTTP request here, it simply won't work. So in this case, what you could do would be to have an additional step. So here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to settings, I'm going to hit on error, and I'm going to choose continue using error output, which now means that I get two paths right here. So if this is successful, keep going as we were doing before. If we get an error, let's do something else. And in this case, I'm going to make another HTTP request to something called Firecrawl. So this is a great service that allows you to scrape websites, and it returns the pages in markdown format. The way it works, if I go to the documentation, which are right here, I can go to scrape right here. I can go to curl, and I can just copy that. Go back to NA10, import curl, paste that in there. I need to update my API key here, and I also need to update my website right there. So here, all I need to do is just hook this up. Let's actually run this once more. So we'll get some data going down the error route. So now I'll be able to get the URL and hook it up right there. Okay, that inserted that in the wrong spot because I had fixed enabled. So now that should work. So here I'm going to insert my API key, and then we'll run this once more and see what the output is like. Okay, so I added my API key through a header authorization right there. And let's hit test workflow and see if this manages to get the site information right here. So this, as you can see, no errors yet. It's taking its time. And if we look at the information here at the markdown, let's look at the JSON, we can see that we got some information right here. And what I'm interested in is whether this managed to get the right information. So if I look here and I search for this, born in Australia and based in Malta, our brand and product, as you can see, we got the information right here, along with a bunch of other code, which we can clean up in a second. So here, this is the HTML that we are interested in, which also means that if I go here and connect this back to the code node, I should be able to get the information and potentially clean that up. The only problem now is that I don't have data right here. So if I run this, I should get an error in the code node there because it's not able to find data. So let's see if that is actually the case. Give this a second. Yeah, and then we got an error because here it's saying HTML.replace is not a function. So the problem is that I think that we need to have data right here. So if we look at the information coming in here, so get the error message. Okay. Yeah, and here we have the information coming in. So here we will just want to use this HTML here. So let's just go back to ChatGPT and let's present the problem and see how we can have this adapt so it's either reading the .data or the information found right here. And what I need to do is just pass along this right here. And if I can find cleaned up function now, great. So this is working well. I now want to make an update so that the code node either gets the input from the data field as it's currently doing, or from the HTML field in the code below. It will always be either one or the other. I'm just going to paste in that JSON code. So here you can add a fallback in your function node, okay? So let's see if this is actually doing its thing. So here it's saying let HTML be equal to items.json.data, fallback if data isn't present, right? Pulling HTML for the error message. So if not that, then we try and go with for the HTML, I guess. Okay. Sounds good to me. Let's copy this, go back here, paste that in here. Let's test the step. So here it's still not able to find it. So let's go back. And let's say running into errors. HTML is not likely a string, maybe it's undefined or even an object. However, I did provide what the HTML looks like, right? So here, let's just copy this again, just in case. Copy selection. Let's just go back here. This is how the HTML can be referenced and what it looks like, I guess. It is a string writer. Is reliably located at json.data.html. json.data, yeah, that makes sense. So let's see if this actually works. Here we also got the if nothing valid is found code as well. So copy, go back to the code node, paste that in there, hit that step. Okay, so here we got the cleaned text. Is it all the text though? No. Nope. So here under the error branch, got the error message, okay. Stack code. Weird though. Let's just try and make this a bit easier. Let's set a HTML string right here. So this should be able to just pull that information directly. So if we get to this stage, let's just unhook this for a second, or rather let's test the workflow. Then this should go like that. And again, this is just to cater for the instances where the page doesn't return pure HTML from the get-go. So over here, for some reason, this is still returning the error branch with that error. But why are we not getting the information right here, which is this right here? I mean, what we could do is also have multiple code branches as well. One that deals with the data as it was before, and the other that deals with the HTML, I guess. I would like to have it be just one, but for simplicity's sake, let's just try that. So let's go to executions. Let's find that code node and the code that we had before. And let's just grab the information right here. So copy that, go back to the editor. Let's keep this simple. So that is that. Then we have the code node again. So let's run this right here. So now, if I'm just curious, if I just copy this, paste this in here, and just replace this with the data HTML, whether that would actually just work out of the box. So here, let's just change this to HTML. That's the step. And now, could we just change this to HTML? Let's hit that step. Yeah, and now we got the cleaned information right there. Great. So now we'd also pass that along to the HTTP request. This should reference our table, and that should be pretty much it. Great. So let's just test this out. Let's tidy this up first of all, and let's see if this makes sense. So let's go back here and let's try these two websites. So let's first try the second one, and then we'll try the first one once more. So here, if I hit test workflow, it should go down the error route. Great, because it can't read the HTML properly. And it should give us a prompt in a second about this website. So it should have some white, some reddish, I guess some blackish sort of tones. And okay, here we run into an issue, which is the service. Okay. Okay. I think we might still be running into some issues with that, with the way the site loads, I guess. So you can force the API to take a screenshot of the error page by specifying ignore host errors equals true. You can get the return status code from the site by reading the returned status code field. Okay, that seems like a lot of full page image quality. Returned status code from the site. So it seems that some sites are easier or harder to deal with, I guess. So in this case, let's just go back to screenshot one. And let's try this on their site. So if I go here, grab that, and paste that in here, and I hit render, what does actually happen? Yeah. So here we run into an error as well. Yeah, the same error we got on our N8 instance. So it seems, yeah, that some sites don't respond well to screenshot one, I guess. Host error returned, error 403. And here it mentioned this ignore, right? You can force the API to take a screenshot of the error by specifying the ignore host errors equals true. So is that something we can customization, request options. Let's just open this up and see if we can find that option. Wait and delay. Ignore host. No, host. Yeah, for some reason it's not something I'm able to find here as well. So I guess in that case, yeah, it would just fail. I guess we just stop the execution. We just stop the workflow. Simply because this is a critical part, and whilst it would be nice to figure out a way to get that, I guess it also depends on the way the sites are built. So this is interesting that I ran into this issue. Could we try something like, if we go, no, there's still a loading screen here. So I believe if we go to one of these pages, we would still run into the same issue. Let's try. Yep, same issue right here, 500 error. Yep. So let's just remove that site from there. Let's go to ideas and let's test this from start to finish. So yeah, now, I mean, pretty much this part right here is useless, I guess, simply because we will run into the issue right there. So let's just unhook that. Let's unhook that. And I think this can be deleted anyway. So let's test this and see start to finish if this runs through correctly with this specific website. Over here as well, if we go back to what ChatGPT generated, it inserted the logo right here, as you can see, which is great, and the logo right here as well. So, and the logo on the laptop as well, which is super awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of this. This created the Google Drive link, so it should also save it in our table. And in a second, this should update. Then we would take this, paste it into ChatGPT, and then we would get this that we can then download. And if we wanted to, save it into our table as well. So here, if I go here, I can upload the comic strip. And again, this is manually done for now. In the near future, when ChatGPT and their latest image generation model gets an API, this will be something that you would be able to do through an API as well, hopefully, because it would save a lot of time as well. So yeah, this is the whole automation. I hope you found that useful in terms of creating lead magnets that do not suck. And if you want to learn more about AI and automation, check out the links in the description where I have information and the blueprints and everything that I create on this channel available for you to get. If you want to not miss out on future videos, again, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss those future videos. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll speak to you soon.